The Code of Hammurabi, Part 2. Continued with Law 108. 108. If a tavern keeper, who is a woman, does not accept corn according to gross weight in payment of drink, but takes money, and the price of the drink is less than that of the corn, she shall be convicted and thrown into the water. 109. If conspirators meet in the house of a tavern keeper, and these conspirators are not captured and delivered to the court, the tavern keeper shall be put to death. 110. If a sister of a god open a tavern, or enter a tavern to drink, then shall this woman be burned to death. 111. If an innkeeper furnish 60 ka of usakani drink, 2, she shall receive 50 ka of corn at the harvest. 112. If anyone be on a journey and entrust silver, gold, precious stones, or any movable property to another, and wish to recover it from him, if the latter do not bring all the property to the appointed place, but appropriate it to his own use, then shall this man, who did not bring the property to hand it over, be convicted, and he shall pay fivefold for all that had been entrusted to him. 113. If anyone have consignment of corn or money, and he take from the granary or box without the knowledge of the owner, then shall he who took corn without the knowledge of the owner out of the granary or money out of the box to be legally convicted, and repay the corn he has taken, and he shall lose whatever commission was paid to him or due him. 114. If a man have no claim on another for corn and money, and try to demand it by force, he shall pay 1/3 of a mina of silver in every case. 115. If anyone have a claim for corn or money upon another and imprison him, if the prisoner die in prison a natural death, the case shall go no further. 116. If the prisoner die in prison from blows or maltreatment, the master of the prisoner shall convict the merchant before the judge. If he was a freeborn man, the son of the merchant shall be put to death. If it was a slave, he shall pay 1/3 of a mina of gold, and all that the master of the prisoner gave he shall forfeit. 117. If anyone fail to meet a claim for debt, and sell himself, his wife, his son and daughter for money, or give them away to forced labor, they shall work for 3 years in the house of the man who bought them, or the proprietor, and in the 4th year they shall be set free. 118. If he give a male or female slave away for forced labor, and the merchant sublease them, or sell them for money, no objection can be raised. 119. If anyone fail to meet a claim for debt, and he sell the maidservant who has borne him children for money, the money which the merchant has paid shall be repaid to him by the owner of the slave, and she shall be freed. 120. If anyone store corn for safekeeping in another's house, and any harm happen to the corn in storage, or if the owner of the house open the granary and take some of the corn, or if especially he deny that the corn was stored in his house, then the owner of the corn shall claim his corn before God on oath, and the owner of the house shall pay its owner for all of the corn that he took. 121. If anyone store corn in another man's house, he shall pay him storage at the rate of 1 gur for every 5 ka of corn per year. 122. If anyone give another silver, gold, or anything else to keep, he shall show everything to some witness, draw up a contract, and then hand it over for safekeeping. 123. If he turn it over for safekeeping without witness or contract, and if he to whom it was given deny it, then he has no legitimate claim. 124. If anyone deliver silver, gold, or anything else to another for safekeeping before a witness, but he deny it, he shall be brought before a judge, and all that he has denied he shall pay in full. 125. If anyone places property with another for safekeeping, and there, either through thieves or robbers, his property and the property of the other man be lost, the owner of the house, through whose neglect the loss took place, shall compensate the owner for all that was given to him in charge. But the owner of the house shall try to follow up and recover his property, and take it away from the thief. 126. If anyone who has not lost his goods state that they have been lost, and make false claims, if he claim his goods an amount of injury before God, even though he has not lost them, he shall be fully compensated for all his loss claimed, i.e. the oath is all that is needed. 127. If anyone point the finger, slander, at a sister of a god, or the wife of anyone, and cannot prove it, this man shall be taken before the judges, and a brow shall be marked, by cutting the skin or perhaps hair. 128. If a man take a woman to wife, but have no intercourse with her, this woman is no wife to him. 129. If a man's wife be surprised in flagrante delicto with another man, both shall be tied and thrown into the water, but the husband may pardon his wife and the king his slaves. 130. If a man violate the wife, betrothed, or child wife of another man who has never known a man, and still lives in her father's house, and sleep with her, and be surprised, this man shall be put to death, but the wife is blameless. 131. If a man bring a charge against one's wife, but she is not surprised with another man, she must take an oath, and then may return to her house. 132. If the finger is pointed at a man's wife about another man, but she is not caught sleeping with the other man, she shall jump into the river for her husband. 133. If a man is taken prisoner in war, and there is a sustenance in his house, but his wife leave house and court, and go to another house, because this wife did not keep her court, and went to another house, she shall be judicially condemned and thrown into the water. If anyone be captured in war, and there is not sustenance in his house, if then his wife go to another house, this woman shall be held blameless. 135. If a man be taken prisoner in war, and there be no sustenance in his house, and his wife go to another house and bear children, and if later her husband return and come to his home, then his wife shall return to her husband, but the children follow their father. If anyone leave his house, run away, and then his wife go to another house, if then he return, wishes to take his wife back because he fled from his home and ran away, the wife of this runaway shall not return to her husband. 137. If a man wish to separate from a woman who has borne him children, or from his wife, who has borne him children, then he shall give that wife her dowry, and a part of the usufruct of field, garden, and property, so that she can rear her children. When she has brought up her children, a portion of all that is given to the children, equal as that of one son, shall be given to her. She may then marry the man of her heart. 138. If a man wishes to separate from his wife, who has borne him no children, he shall give her them out of her purchase money, and the dowry which she brought from her father's house, and let her go. 139. If there was no purchase price, he shall give her 1 mina of gold as a gift of release. 140. If he be a freedman, he shall give her 1/3 of a mina of gold. 141. If a man's wife, who lives in his house, wishes to leave it, plunges into debt, tries to ruin her house, neglects her husband, and is judicially convicted, if her husband offer her release, she may go on her way, and he gives her nothing as a gift of release. If her husband does not wish to release her, and if he take another wife, she shall remain as servant in her husband's house. 142. If a woman quarrel with her husband and say, "You are not congenial to me," the reasons for her prejudice must be presented. If she is guiltless, and there is no fault on her part, but he leaves and neglects her, then no guilt attaches to this woman. She shall take her dowry and go back to her father's house. 143. If she is not innocent, but leaves her husband and ruins her house, neglecting her husband, this woman shall be cast into the water. 144. If a man take his wife, and this woman give her husband a maidservant, and she bear him children, but the man wishes to take another wife, this shall not be permitted to him. He shall not take a second wife. 145. If a man take a wife, and she bear him no children, and he intend to take another wife, if he take this second wife, and bring her into the house, this second wife shall not be allowed equality with his wife. 146. If a man take a wife, and she give this man a maidservant as wife, and she bear him children, and then this maid assume equality with the wife, because she has borne him children, her master shall not sell her for money, but he may keep her as a slave, reckoning her among the maidservants. 147. If she have not borne him children, then her mistress may sell her for money. 148. If a man take a wife, and she be seized by disease, if he then desire to take a second wife, he shall not put away his wife who has been attacked by disease, but he shall keep her in the house which he has built, and support her so long as she lives. 149. If this woman does not wish to remain in her husband's house, then he shall compensate her for the dowry that she brought with her from her father's house, and she may go. If a man give his wife a field, garden, and house, and a deed therefor, if then after the death of her husband the sons raise no claim, then the mother may bequeath all to one of her sons whom she prefers, and need leave nothing to his brothers. 151. If a woman who lived in a man's house made an agreement with her husband, that no creditor can arrest her, and is given a document therefore, if that man, before he married that woman, had a debt, the creditor cannot hold the woman for it. But if the woman, before she entered the man's house, had contracted a debt, her creditor cannot arrest her husband therefore. 152. If after the woman had entered the man's house, both contracted a debt, both must pay the merchant. 153. If the wife of one man, on account of another man, has their mates, her husband and the other man's wife, murdered, both of them shall be impaled. 154. If a man be guilty of incest with his daughter, he shall be driven from the place, exiled. 155. If a man betroth a girl to his son, and his son have intercourse with her, but he, the father, afterward defile her, and be surprised, then he shall be bound and cast into the water, drowned. 156. If a man betroth a girl to his son, but his son has not known her, and if he then defile her, he shall pay her half a gold mina, and compensate her for all that she brought out of her father's house. She may marry the man of her heart. 157. If anyone be guilty of incest with his mother after his father, both shall be burned. 158. If anyone be surprised after his father with his chief wife who has borne children, he shall be driven out of his father's house. 159. If anyone who has brought chattels into his father-in-law's house and has paid the purchase money, looks for another wife and says to his father-in-law, I do not want your daughter, the girl's father may keep all that he had brought. 160. If a man bring chattels into the house of his father-in-law and pay the purchase price for his wife, if then the father of the girl say, I will not give you my daughter, he shall give him back all that he brought with him. 161. If a man bring chattels into his father-in-law's house and pay the purchase price, if then his friends slander him, and his father-in-law say to the young husband, You shall not marry my daughter, then he shall give back to him undiminished all that he had brought with him, but his wife shall not be married to the friend. 162. If a man marry a woman, and she bear sons to him, if then this woman die, then shall her father have no claim on her dowry. This belongs to her sons. 163. If a man marry a woman, and she bear him no sons, if then this woman die, then shall her father have... 163. If a man marry a woman and she bear him no sons, if then this woman die, if the purchase price which he had paid into the house of his father-in-law is repaid to him, her husband shall have no claim upon the dowry of this woman. It belongs to her father's house. 164. If his father-in-law do not pay back to him the amount of the purchase price, he may subtract the amount of the purchase price from the dowry and then pay the remainder to her father's house. 165. If a man give to one of his sons whom he prefers a field, garden, and house, and a deed therefor, if later the father die, and the brothers divide the estate, then they shall give him the present of his father, and he shall accept it, and the rest of the paternal property shall they divide. 166. If a man take wives for his son, but take no wife for his minor son, if then he die, if the sons divide the estate, they shall set aside besides his portion the money for the purchase price for the minor brother who had taken no wife as yet, and secure a wife for him. 167. If a man marry a wife, and she bear him children, if this wife die, and he then take another wife, and she bear him children, if then the father die, the sons must not partition the estate according to the mothers. They shall divide the dowries of their mothers only in this way. The paternal estate they shall divide equally with one another. 168. If a man wish to put his son out of his house and declare before the judge, I want to put my son out, then the judge shall examine into his reasons. If the son be guilty of no great fault for which he can be rightfully put out, the father shall not put him out. 169. If he be guilty of a grave fault which should rightfully deprive him of the filial relationship, the father shall forgive him the first time. But if he be guilty of a grave fault a second time, the father may deprive his son of all filial relation. 170. If his wife bear sons to a man, or his maidservant have borne sons, and the father, while still living, says to the children whom his maidservant has borne, My sons, and he count them with the sons of his wife, if then the father die, then the sons of the wife and of the maidservant shall divide the paternal property in common. The son of the wife is to partition and choose. 171. If, however, the father, while still living, did not say to the sons of the maidservant, My sons, and then the father dies, then the sons of the maidservant shall not share with the sons of the wife, but the freedom of the maid and her son shall be granted. The sons of the wife shall have no right to enslave the sons of the maid. The wife shall take her dowry from her father, and the gift that her husband gave her and deeded to her, separate from dowry or the purchase money paid her father, and live in the home of her husband. So long as she lives, she shall use it. It shall not be sold for money. Whatever she leaves shall belong to her children. 172. If her husband made her no gift, she shall be compensated for her gift, and she shall receive a portion from the estate of her husband equal to that of one child. If her sons oppress her, to force her out of the house, the judge shall examine into the matter, and if the sons are at fault, the woman shall not leave her husband's house. If the woman desire to leave the house, she must leave to her sons the gift which her husband gave her, but she may take the dowry of her father's house. Then she may marry the man of her heart. 173. If this woman bear sons to her second husband in the place to which she went, and then die, her earlier and later sons shall divide the dowry between them. 174. If she bear no sons to her second husband, the sons of her first husband shall have the dowry. 175. If a state slave or the slave of a freedman marry the daughter of a freedman, and children are born, the master of the slave shall have no right to enslave the children of the free. 176. If, however, a state slave or the slave of a freedman marry a man's daughter, and after he marries her, she bring a dowry from a father's house, if then they both enjoy it and found a household, and accumulate means, then the slave die, then she who is free born may take her dowry, and all that her husband and she had earned, she shall divide them into two parts, one half the master for the slave shall take, and the other half the freeborn woman take for her children. If the freeborn woman had no gift, she shall take all that her husband and she had earned and divide it into two parts, and the master of the slave shall take one half, and she shall take the other for her children. 177. If a widow whose children are not grown wishes to enter another house, remarry, she shall not enter it without the knowledge of the judge. If she enter another house, the judge shall examine the state of the house of her first husband. Then the house of her first husband shall be entrusted to the second husband, and the woman herself as managers, and a record must be made thereof. She shall keep the house in order, bring up the children, and not sell the household utensils. He who buys the utensils of the children of a widow shall lose his money, and the goods shall return to their owners. 178. If a devoted woman or a prostitute to whom her father has given a dowry and a deed therefor, but if in this deed it is not stated that she may bequeath it as she pleases, and it is not explicitly stated that she has the right of disposal, if then her father die, then her brother shall hold her field and garden, and give her corn, oil, and milk according to her portion, and satisfy her. If her brothers do not give her corn, oil, and milk according to her share, then her field and garden shall support her. She shall have the usufruct of field and garden, and all that her father gave her so long as she lives, but she cannot sell it or assign it to others. Her position of inheritance belongs to her brothers. 179. If a sister of a god, or a prostitute, receive a gift from her father, and a deed in which it has been explicitly stated that she may dispose of it as she pleases, and give her complete disposition thereof, if then her father die, then she may leave her property to whomever she pleases. Her brothers can raise no claim thereto. 180. If a father give a present to his daughter, either marriageable or a prostitute unmarriageable, and then die, then she is to receive a portion as a child from the paternal estate, and enjoy its usufruct so long as she lives. Her estate belongs to her brothers. 181. If a father devote a temple maid or temple virgin to God and give her no present, if then the father die, she shall receive the third of a child's portion from the inheritance of her father's house, and enjoy its usufruct so long as she lives. Her estate belongs to her brothers. 182. If a father devote his daughter as a wife of Mardi of Babylon, as in 181, and give her no present nor a deed, if then her father die, then shall she receive 1/3 of her portion as a child of her father's house from her brothers, but Marduk may leave her estate to whomever she wishes. 183. If a man give his daughter by a concubine a dowry, and a husband, and a deed, if then her father die, she shall receive no portion from the paternal estate. 184. If a man do not give a dowry to his daughter by a concubine, and no husband, if then her father die, her brother shall give her a dowry according to her father's wealth, and secure a husband for her. 185. If a man adopt a child, and to his name as son, and rear him, this grown son cannot be demanded back again. 186. If a man adopt a son, and if after he has taken him he injure his foster father and mother, then this adopted son shall return to his father's house. 187. The son of a paramour in the palace service, or of a prostitute, cannot be demanded back. 188. If an artisan has undertaken to rear a child and teaches him his craft, he cannot be demanded back. 189. If he has not taught him his craft, this adopted son may return to his father's house. 190. If a man does not maintain a child that he has adopted as a son and reared with his other children, then his adopted son may return to his father's house. 191. If a man who had adopted a son and reared him, founded a household, and had children, wished to put this adopted son out, then this son shall not simply go his way. His adoptive father shall give him of his wealth 1/3 of a child's portion, and then he may go. He shall not give him of the field, garden, and house. 192. If a son of a paramour or a prostitute say to his adoptive father or mother, "You are not my father or my mother," his tongue shall be cut off. 193. If the son of a paramour or a prostitute desire his father's house, and desert his adoptive father and adoptive mother, and goes to his father's house, then shall his eye be put out. 194. If a man give his child to a nurse, and the child die in her hands, but the nurse, unbeknown to the father, and mother nurse another child, then they shall convict her of having nursed another child without the knowledge of the father and mother, and her breast shall be cut off. 195. If a son strike his father, his hands shall be hewn off. 196. If a man put out the eye of another man, his eye shall be put out, an eye for an eye. 197. If he break another man's bone, his bone shall be broken. 198. If he put out the eye of a freedman, or break the bone of a freedman, he shall pay 1 gold mina. 199. If he put out the eye of a manslave, or break the bone of a manslave, he shall pay 1/2 of its value. 200. If a man knock out the teeth of his equal, his teeth shall be knocked out, a tooth for a tooth. 201. If he knock out the teeth of a freedman, he shall pay 1/3 of a gold mina. 202. If anyone strike the body of a man higher in rank than he shall receive 60 blows with an ox whip in public. 203. If a freeborn man strike the body of another freeborn man or equal rank, he shall pay 1 gold mina. 204. If a freedman strike the body of another freedman, he shall pay 10 shekels in money. 205. If the slave of a freedman strike the body of a freedman, his ear shall be cut off. 206. If during a quarrel one man strike another and wound him, then he shall swear, "I did not injure him wittingly," and pay the physicians. 207. If the man die of his wound, he shall swear similarly, and if he, the deceased, was a freeborn man, he shall pay 1/2 a mina in money. 208. If he was a freedman, he shall pay 1/3 of a mina. 209. If a man strike a freeborn woman so that she lose her unborn child, he shall pay 10 shekels for her loss. 210. If the woman die, his daughter shall be put to death. If a woman of the free class lose her child by a blow, he shall pay 5 shekels in money. 212. If this woman die, he shall pay 1/2 a mina. 213. If he strike the maidservant of a man, and she lose her child, he shall pay 2 shekels in money. 214. If this maidservant die, he shall pay 1/3 of a mina. 215. If a physician make a large incision with an operating knife and cure it, or if he open a tumor over the eye with an operating knife and saves the eye, he shall receive 10 shekels in money. 216. If the patient be a freedman, he receives 5 shekels. 217. If he be the slave of someone, his owner shall give the physician 2 shekels. 218. If a physician make a large incision with the operating knife, and kill him or open a tumor with the operating knife, and cut out the eye, his hand shall be cut off. 219. If a physician make a large incision in the slave of a freedman and kill him, he shall replace the slave with another slave. 220. If he had opened a tumor with the operating knife and put out his eye, he shall pay 1/2 his value. 221. If a physician heal the broken bone or diseased soft part of a man, the patient shall pay the physician 5 shekels in money. 222. If he were a freedman, he shall pay 3 shekels. 223. If he were a slave, his owner shall pay the physician 2 shekels. 224. If a veterinary surgeon perform a serious operation on an ass or an ox and cure it, the owner shall pay the surgeon 1/6 of a shekel as a fee. 225. If he perform a serious operation on an ass or an ox and kill it, he shall pay the owner 1/4 of its value. 226. If a barber, without the knowledge of his master, cut the sign of a slave on a slave not to be sold, the hands of this barber shall be cut off. 227. If anyone deceive a barber and have him mark a slave not for sale with the sign of a slave, he shall be put to death and buried in his house. The barber shall swear, "I did not mark him wittingly," and shall be guiltless. 228. If a builder build a house for someone and complete it, he shall give him a fee of 2 shekels in money for each sar of surface. 229. If a builder build a house for someone and does not construct it properly, and the house which he built fall in and kill its owner, then that builder shall be put to death. 230. If it kill the son of the owner, the son of that builder shall be put to death. 231. If it kill a slave of the owner, then he shall pay slave for slave to the owner of the house. 232. If it ruin goods, he shall make compensation for all that has been ruined. And inasmuch as he did not construct properly this house which he built, and it fell, he shall re-erect the house from his own means. 233. If a builder build a house for someone, even though he has not yet completed it, if then the walls seem toppling, the builder must make the walls solid from his own means. 234. If a shipbuilder build a boat of 60 gur for a man, he shall pay him a fee of 2 shekels in money. 235. If a shipbuilder build a boat for someone and do not make it right, if during that same year that boat is sent away and suffers injury, the shipbuilder shall take the boat apart and put it together tight at his own expense. The tight boat he shall give to the boat owner. 236. If a man rent his boat to a sailor, and the sailor is careless, and the boat is wrecked or goes aground, the sailor shall give the owner of the boat another boat as compensation. 237. If a man hire a sailor and his boat, and provide it with corn, clothing, oil, and dates, and other things of the kind needed for fitting it, if the sailor is careless, the boat is wrecked, and its contents ruined, then the sailor shall compensate for the boat which was wrecked, and all in it that he ruined. 238. If a sailor wreck anyone's ship, but saves it, he shall pay the half of its value in money. 239. If a man hire a sailor, he shall pay him 6 gur of corn per year. 240. If a merchant run against a ferry boat and wreck it, the master of the ship that was wrecked shall seek justice before God. The master of the merchantman, which wrecked the ferry boat, must compensate the owner for the boat and all that he ruined. 241. If anyone impresses an ox for forced labor, he shall pay 1/3 of a mina in money. 242. If anyone hire oxen for a year, he shall pay 4 gur of corn for plow oxen. 243. As rent of herd cattle, he shall pay 3 gur of corn to the owner. 244. If anyone hire an ox or an ass, and a lion kill it in the field, the loss is upon its owner. 245. If anyone hire oxen and kill them by bad treatment or blows, he shall compensate the owner oxen for oxen. 246. If a man hire an ox and he break its leg or cut the ligament of his neck, he shall compensate the owner with ox for ox. 247. If anyone hire an ox and put out its eye, he shall pay the owner 1/2 of its value. 248. If anyone hire an ox and break off a horn or cut off its tail or hurt its muzzle, he shall pay 1/4 of its value in money. 249. If anyone hire an ox and God strike it that it die, the man who hired it shall swear by God and be considered guiltless. 250. If while an ox is passing on the street, the market, someone push it and kill it, the owner can set up no claim in the suit against the hirer. 251. If an ox be a goring ox, and it shown that he is a gorer, and he do not bind his horns or fasten the ox up, and the ox gore a freeborn man and kill him, the owner shall pay 1/2 a mina in money. 252. If he kill a man's slave, he shall pay 1/3 of a mina. 253. If anyone agree with another to lend his field, give him seed, and trust a yoke of oxen to him, and bind him to cultivate the field, if he steal the corner plants and take them for himself, his hands shall be hewn off. 254. If he take the seed corn for himself and do not use the yoke of oxen, he shall compensate him for the amount of the seed corn. 255. If he sublet the man's yoke of oxen or steal the seed corn, planting nothing in the field, he shall be convicted, and for each 100 gan he shall pay 60 gur of corn. 256. If his community will not pay him, then he shall be placed in that field with the cattle, at work. 257. If anyone hire a field laborer, he shall pay him 8 gur of corn per year. 258. If anyone hire an ox driver, he shall pay him 6 gur of corn per year. 259. If anyone steal a water wheel from the field, he shall pay 5 shekels in money to its owner. 260. If anyone steal a shaduf, used to draw water from the river or canal, or a plow, he shall pay 3 shekels in money. 261. If anyone hire a herdsman for cattle or sheep, he shall pay him 8 gur of corn per annum. 262. If anyone a cow or a sheep. 263. If he kill the cattle or sheep that were given to him, he shall compensate the owner with cattle for cattle and sheep for sheep. 264. If a herdsman to whom cattle or sheep have been entrusted for watching, and who has received his wages as agreed upon, and is satisfied, to diminish the number of the cattle or sheep, or make the increase by birth less, he shall make good the increase or profit which was lost in terms of settlement. 265. If a herdsman to whose care cattle or sheep have been entrusted be guilty of fraud, and make false returns of the natural increase, or sell them for money, then shall he be convicted and pay the owner 10 times the loss. 266. If the animal be killed in the stable by God, an accident, or if a lion kill it, the herdsman shall declare his innocence before God, and the owner bears the accident in the stable. 267. If the herdsman overlook something, and an accident happen in the stable, then the herdsman is at fault for the accident which he has caused in the stable, and must compensate the owner for the cattle or sheep. 268. If anyone hire an ox for threshing, the amount of the hire is 20 ka of corn. 269. If he hire an ass for threshing, the hire is 20 ka of corn. 270. If he hire a young animal for threshing, the hire is 10 ka of corn. 271. If anyone hire oxen, cart, and driver, he shall pay 180 ka of corn per day. 272. If anyone hire a cart alone, he shall pay 40 ka of corn per day. 273. If anyone hire a day laborer, he shall pay him from the new year until the 5th month, April to August. When days are long and the work hard, 6 gerahs in money per day. From the 6th month to the end of the year, he shall give him 5 gerahs per day. 274. If anyone hire a skilled artisan, he shall pay as wages of the 5 gerahs, as wages of the potter 5 gerahs, of a tailor 5 gerahs, of a rope maker 4 gerahs, of a mason gerahs per day. 275. If anyone hire a ferry boat, he shall pay 3 gerahs in money per day. 276. If he hire a freight boat, he shall pay 2 1/2 gerahs per day. 277. If anyone hire a ship of 60 gur, he shall pay 1/6 of a shekel in money as its hire per day. 278. If anyone buy a male or female slave, and before a month has elapsed, the Bennu disease be developed, he shall return the slave to the seller and receive the money which he had paid. 279. If anyone buy a male or female slave and a third party claim it, the seller is liable for the claim. 280. If while in a foreign country a man buy a male or female slave belonging to another of his own country, if when he return home the owner of the male or female slave recognize it, if the male or female slave be a native of the country, he shall give them back without any money. 281. If they are from another country, the buyer shall declare the amount of money paid therefor to the merchant, and keep the male or female slave. 282. If a slave say to his master, "You are not my master," if they convict him, his master shall cut off his ear. The Epilogue. Laws of justice which Hammurabi, the wise king, established. A righteous law and pious statute did he teach the land. Hammurabi, the protecting king, am I. I have not withdrawn myself from the men, and whom Bel gave to me, the rule over whom Marduk gave to me. I was not negligent, but I made them a peaceful abiding place. I expounded all great difficulties. I made the light shine upon them, with the mighty weapons which Zamama and Ishtar entrusted to me, with the keen vision with which Ea endowed me, with the wisdom that Marduk gave me. I have uprooted the enemy above and below, in north and south, subdued the earth, brought prosperity to the land, guaranteed security to the inhabitants in their homes. A disturber was not permitted. The great gods have called me. I am the salvation-bearing shepherd, whose staff is straight, the good shadow that is spread over my city. On my breast I cherish the inhabitants of the land of Sumer and Akkad. In my shelter I have let them repose in peace. In my deep wisdom have I enclosed them, that the strong might not injure the weak. In order to protect the widows and orphans, I have in Babylon the city where Anu and Bel raise their head, in E-Sagil, the temple, whose foundations stand firm as heaven and earth. In order to bespeak justice in the land, to settle all disputes, and heal all injuries, set up these my precious words, written upon my memorial stone, before the image of me as King of righteousness. The king who ruleth among the kings of the cities am I.